Financial concerns rising among Americans. According to a Northwestern Mutual study, 85% of people are suffering from financial anxiety. And there are three main concerns causing that uneasiness. Thoughts of never being able to retire, living paycheck to paycheck constantly, and then living in debt forever. Those are the main culprits. Joining us now to help conquer these fears, who do we call? Always, Chris Hogan, Ramsey Solutions financial expert, author of Retire Inspired. Chris, the average retirement account balance for U.S. workers is just $17,000, but to a lot of people, that sounds like a lot of money. What is your solution?
Well, I think the big thing is to understand that this fear of never being able to retire, fear is very real, Dagan. And I think the important thing is to take the right kind of action so you can start to alleviate those fears. So we've got to assess where we are versus where you want to be with retirement and truly start working a plan that's actually going to work.
Chris, I'm so glad to have you here because one of the biggest problems, and we're addressing it right now, is fear. So I think everybody needs to have their first initial step, whether it be they're going to call their credit card company and try to take down their APR, or they're trying to do something to get the ball rolling. What's your best advice in that regard for them to take the first initial step? Because once they do that, then they can take many more, but they're fearful of it.
No, that's a very, very good point. I think the first step, it's going to sound different, but there's a point. I think the first step is to dream about what you want retirement to look like. What are the things you want to do? Do you want to travel? Do you want to spend time with family? What is that thing that gets you excited? Because I think our dreams can motivate us more than fear can paralyze us.
Building a financial safety net, also a concern. Chris, 69% of Americans have less than $1,000 of savings. How can workers how do you break that paycheck to paycheck cycle? Because that is one of the greatest sources of anxiety for people.
It really is, and a lot of people feel like they're always going to live that way, Dagan. And we have found that almost 76% of people are living paycheck to paycheck. That means if one check doesn't show up, they now have a financial crisis. So I think step number one is to understand, where are you spending your money? What is your budget? What does it take for you to live on? And I think we also have to identify those money leaks. And by money leaks, I mean the eating out, the grocery shopping, or the unnecessary purchases. Identifying those things will allow you to start to implement some controls to protect yourself as well as your budget.
Darren Porcher.
Go ahead, Darren.
Darren Porcher, I think the first step is financial planning. And one of the things that employees need to infuse into their future is a step of financial planning. I think that's more prudent as a first step than the other points that you mentioned. I believe that they're true and they're accurate. But however, if you don't start with a sound financial planning strategy, all of this stuff collapses.
Well, I would agree that planning is important, but we have to be careful with semantics. Financial planning for a lot of people means you pay $5,000 and they hand you a notebook and you now go on your way. What I'm talking about is realistic understanding of what is your income versus what are your expenses. So that's a budget. And then I want to help people truly start to get serious about attacking debt. Those to me are the two important financial planning steps you can take initially.
Chris, so I want to get your take on this because people look at the lottery as if it's going to solve all their problems. The Powerball jackpot, now the second largest ever, $650 million. But winning comes with warnings as well, and that's what you've got. I just think if you want to play, it's playing for fun. It's not playing for future financial security.
Yeah, I mean, it blew me away. We spent in the U.S. $73.8 billion last year on lottery. That's more than movies, sport tickets, books, entertainment. I mean, $73.8 billion. So I think it's one of those things where I am concerned that most people are spending money they need on necessities on Powerball tickets, and that's dangerous. You need to be able to feed your kids and take care of your expenses. You want to stay in control.
As they hit the lottery.
Say that again, Darren, before we
Chris. Darren Porch, I believe the worst thing that can happen for a poor person is for them to hit the lottery for $600 million, because that's an extreme hit to the top, and there's no way to maintain it. The toughest thing, in my opinion, is to maintain that wealth.
Right, and Chris, we've got to run, but thinking that you're going to hit the lottery by playing it every day, and it's not just the Powerball or the Mega Millions, it's the, even, and I'm guilty of it, even buying scratch tickets a little too often.
You have to be careful and make sure you stick to your plan, and know any money you spend, you have to be willing to lose.
Chris Hogan. It's always great to see you. Thank you, sir, for being here, Chris
Thank
Hogan.
you,
Take
ma'am.
care. We'll see you again.